Kia ora, my name's Te Ahi Wehungi. I'm the National Coordinator at Gender Minorities Aotearoa. We are a national transgender organisation that operates on a kaupapa Māori framework. So we support trans people with all kinds of issues. We offer wraparound services. We do about 1,300 individual peer supports each year, and we also do a lot of work on policy and legislative advocacy as well. So that framework means that we are all about being community-led. So we're peer-led. We have a really strong belief that the work should always be as peer-led as possible. So if we're working with transgender people, we think that, you know, any research, any services, any development of policy and things like that needs to be coming from trans people. So that's a really big part of our kaupapa. So trans people experience really high rates of sexual and domestic violence. We know that 36% of trans people report being forced to have sex against their will, which is much higher than for other genders. And we know that the rates of abuse that are happening to trans people are generally higher for Māori and Pacific and other ethnic communities. So that's often who we're supporting, and that's often who's at the centre of the work that we do. We know that there are really big differences in how people access support if they're trans. So often services might not know exactly how to support them or what their needs are going to be, or necessarily understand what the violence against them looks like. So there's a lot of work that goes into collaborating with different services to make sure that they can understand that, and that you know, policies and procedures are appropriate. So for example, we're part of a formal alliance between a lot of different sexual violence services, family violence services, and rainbow organisations. It's called the Rainbow Violence Prevention Network. And we work really extensively to collaborate in that space and make sure that we're making policies and things that really work for everyone, and that the referral systems are working, and that we can give people the best support that we can. Over the last year, we worked really extensively as part of the RVP and also as an individual organisation on the Te Aotearoa national strategy to eliminate family violence and sexual violence, which is this one. It just got released yesterday. So that's the national strategy, and there's also an action plan, which is part of this. Those are available on the government website. So they're quite solid documents, and they go into, they did like over 120 hui around the country in different communities that were like made in partnership with those different communities. So Māori, Pacifica, ethnic communities, women, children, men who experience violence, trans people in rainbow communities, older people, disabled people, like a lot of different focus kind of target groups. So that was a really solid piece of work that actually I think we worked on that for over a year, and quite extensive, and kind of really goes into a lot of, I mean, it's a pretty solid document. So that's sort of those are some of the sorts of ways that we try to make sure that we're taking care of the needs of all trans people, and it's not, you know, it's not making sure that the needs of trans people includes trans people who are disabled, trans people who are ethnic minorities, trans people who are young and who are older, and, you know, who live rurally in areas where there aren't services. You know, we know that one of the big things for a lot of trans people experiencing abuse, especially family and, you know, in the home, is that they don't have somewhere to go if they're trying to leave an abusive situation. And so that's true for a lot of different people. In the case of trans people, most of the time emergency housing is gendered. It's men's housing or it's women's housing, and that doesn't work for a lot of trans people. So where are you going to sleep tonight is one of the big questions that we have to support trans people with working out, so that they can leave a dangerous situation safely. We have a lot of resources on this on our website. There's a section of the website from the main page that's called Sex and Relationships, There are 8 different really good resources that we've developed over time with like the input of a lot of different trans people, which cover things like recognizing abusive dynamics in a relationship, trying to support good communication and healthy ways to work those things out. A really good resource on leaving a situation if it's dangerous, on how to leave a relationship that might be putting you in danger and harming you. And that includes things like if your immigration status relies on your relationship, or if you have children, or lots of complicating factors, mental health and things like that. So that's a really solid resource. We have ones about healthy relationships and like dating a trans person for partners, and what a respectful relationship should look like in terms of respecting your language and your culture and where you're from and your whānau situation. Your work, your goals, respecting you as a whole person. So there's a lot there in that. So yeah, 8 different resources there. Have a look on our website. People find them really useful, and I think they're a really, really good, such a good grounding in what people need and some ways that can happen. Yeah, and I guess I'll just finish up by saying reach out for support if you need support, or if you know somebody who needs support, if there's any, we are here for trans people, and we're here for their whānau, we're here for their supporters. So get in touch with us. If you need any support, and hopefully we can be of assistance. Kia ora.